and start all over again with nothing? If you got billions of dollars, you're looking for a way to cheat death. You're thinking to yourself, man, if life after death means reincarnation and a whole nother earth, a whole nother parallel reality where I got to start all over again, that is a rich man's worst nightmare. That's his worst thought to have. It is a nightmare for a rich man to think about, one day I gotta die. Because in his mind, he's saying, I'm gonna have to start all over. When you tell the universe what you want and you put that desire in your heart, the universe will start to send all of the things your way to help manifest that. So if you told the universe that you want to go to heaven, don't be surprised if the universe ain't showering you with luxury and cars and mansions. Facts. I mean, I gotta try to make sense of why certain people are rich and certain people are poor. And I'm not buying what Creflo Dollar's saying, and I'm not buying what Nero's saying. I come with my theory. If the universe is involved in our financial lives, then the only thing that makes sense to me is the people that suffering the most is actually the most spiritually rich, the most spiritually wealthy. That's right. Shout out to Sally McDermott. Thank you once again for your love. Because the universe know what you want. You want to ascend. And to ascend, you got to be light. It's just like being at the bottom of the ocean. So basically what happened is a lot of woke folks will tell the universe, I want to make it to heaven. I want to make it into the ancestral realms, the pleroma, the platonic realm. A lot of you woke folks, you've put in your heart, you've put out there in the universe, you've planted that seed in the universe that when I die, the hell with this place. Let me ascend to my next reality and focus on my next mission, because I don't have no attachments to this place, because it's just, why would I be attached to the first grade if I'm a student? Once I get out of the first grade, hey man, put me in the second grade, then the third. I ain't attached to none of these grades. It's just a place to learn and evolve and move on. So if that's what you're telling the universe, hey, send me to my next higher, better, greater experience beyond here, then guess what the universe gonna start doing? Stripping you of all this material stuff. Because once you tell the universe that, the universe saying, okay, you want to get out of here? Let me make you light then, because you're going to have to take all this stuff off the rise up. You got on all these chains, all this jewelry, all this, man, take all that off. The universe going to strip you naked so you can ascend. And that's what Jesus was trying to tell the rich man about the kingdom of heaven. When you build your kingdom or your heaven on earth, why would you want to even ascend? That's even true for me too. If I was a multi-billionaire living in paradise right here on earth, this is my heaven. That's true. And that's why I'm not really, I'm saying once this system was created, it changed everything, because a lot of people start finding heaven right here on earth, just like the pharaohs did. That's what Satan did. He built this kingdom on earth. So that's only possible in the system of capitalism, where you have rich versus poor. Because if everyone is a king, ain't nobody a king. And how you gonna have a kingdom if everybody kings? Right? So in the system of capitalism, there must be some poor people. It gotta be, just by the way the system is built. But this system promises everyone wealth when it knows it needs poor people. In order to define what rich is, you gotta have down in order to have up, boy and girl, rich. If you're gonna have a system of rich people, How do we know who rich? Based upon, look at the poor people over there. You have to create a lower standard of living and a whole nother template and tax bracket for a certain group of people to live in to distinguish these classes to begin with. And that's what they did in Egypt and Babylon. Before that, you didn't have that. It was just a world full of humans and everybody was equal. No one had ownership of the apple tree, the orange tree. It was an unspoken rule that, you know, of course, you couldn't just destroy this place. Like, for example, you couldn't pause in the water. You couldn't cut down the apple tree because other people want to eat off of it. The concept of ownership is new, y'all. You got to realize that when the colonizer came in contact with the first tribes, he had to teach them what ownership was, what contracts was, what a trust was, what a loan was. You must realize that our ancestors did not create the system of capitalism. They had a whole nother spiritual system based upon natural law and sovereignty, which is where the whole concept of equality and justice for all come from. Our ancestors, the people who spewing that, talking about equality and justice for all, they don't even deliver that. So you know they stole that from our ancestors, because the systems of government that our ancestors had literally had systems that made everyone equal. And how did it do it? Because we didn't give you no props because you was rich. There was no such thing as rich. It was how much are you contributing to the tribe, and it wasn't no money. It could have been, it was basically agriculture. You planting seeds in the field and harvesting that and feeding your tribe. You being a good, maybe you can work with stones, then you can help use a good builder. It was your natural talents. You had architects. You had agriculturists, botanists. You had your weed men making the best damn shit to smoke to get us high with. You had your musicians. They was contributing their music to the tribe. You had everybody contributed something to the tribe to make life a luxurious experience. So everybody was rich because everybody can enjoy all of the resources that's produced by the tribe. You didn't have to go buy it from the store. It ain't like this costs $10,000 and that right there is $100 and the rich can afford this, but the poor can't. No, it was a universal economic system where everyone in the tribe had access to everything in the tribe equally. Equally, a communal-based system. In that sense, you're not separated by who had what, right? He got all that and he got all that. Now that's rich and poor. That didn't exist in the systems of government that we had. You can't ascend with a bunch of stuff attached to you. You got to let that stuff go so you can ascend. We are saying to ascend with a bunch of stuff. You got to be light. Because the universe know what you want. You want to ascend. And to ascend, you got to be light. It's just like being at the bottom of the ocean. You can't. Let's say you inside of a video game, a simulation, and your body and all of your possessions are your gamer, are part of your gamer avatar. Like when you play a game, you have an avatar in the game, and all of your possessions in the game, it don't belong to the real you. It belonged to your avatar in the game. So if you playing Grand Theft Auto, the real you don't own none of that, but your avatar in the game does. So that'll make a lot of people don't want to, not want to stop playing the game if they're attached to the possessions that not even theirs, but only owned by their avatar, and they can't take it with them when they leave the game. Like what you said, you can't take none of that with you when you die, because this shit's a simulation and this money is just reflecting how much you earned in the game. Now watch this, right? Here go the crazy thing um about when you tell the universe you ready to leave the game, the universe started stripping off your gamer suit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the universe started detaching the player from the gamer's avatar. And when that happens, you will detach from all of the possessions that your avatar got. So that means even if you have a, let's say, a nice house, nice car that you really love, your woke self would say, fuck all that. I'm more in love with spiritual enlightenment. So it ain't saying that you can't have nice things. That ain't what it's saying. It's saying that um people who get woke is gonna start to invest all of their energy and time into self-mastery, basically. Right? And when you do that, you're going to have less time to quote unquote chase dollars or be a bag chaser, because in the capitalistic system, when you talking about accruing wealth, you really got to dedicate your life to it. Like, for example, Donald Trump, Sam Walton, like, it's a lifelong endeavor. And even you pass it on, you don't just pass the wealth on to your children, you pass the burden of maintaining the family wealth through the family business in this monopoly game. But you know, you do have a lot of monks, Buddhas, and all them that are dedicating their life to like self-mastery. And you ask yourself, like, do they pass a lot of wealth down to their kids? Actually, what their kids inherit is temples and temple systems. They are, and they don't say, well, let me keep the family business of wealth going, right? We sell chicken or whatever, right? They will keep a system, a spiritual system going. And people actually contribute to the temple with donations and offerings, not money. So back in the day, the concept of tithing or giving offerings to the temple, it was because the temple was a communal-based spiritual system, but it was the spiritual system that, it was the spiritual aspect of our system that dealt with the welfare of everyone in the community. So basically, what you call capitalism is based upon people profiting, profit, or the bottom line, right? But in the ancient temple systems, which where we get tithing from, because the church was basically the head of the community. It was different. It's been corrupted today. But what the church was handling was that all of the access in the tribe. So if you had everyone in a tribe contributed to the tribe. So if you had an apple tree, orange tree, whatever you was doing, or whatever you harvested, it was all accessible and contributed to the tribe as a whole. No man worked for himself as an individual. Everything you did was for the community. So what happened was all of the access and surplus harvest was placed in the church. So it wasn't that people, it was like tithing to the church or giving offerings to priests. They was storing the access in the community, in the church, and people who would lack or visitors came or anything, the church was basically what they call a storehouse. And it's still referred to as a storehouse today. They call it the storehouse of the Lord. But before that, it was just the storehouse of the land. Anyone of the land could access the surplus harvest, so no one went without, right? So the concept of the church feeding the homeless and all that is very old, but we know the church make that optional today. But the very reason why the church was created in the past was for that. It wasn't optional. That was your very reason for existing. But now the church is a for-profit organization where pastors are making billions of dollars in offerings that go directly to them and not the poor, not the poor. So the synagogue of Satan have corrupted the ancient temple system that we use to make sure poverty never existed. And the fact that you have a poverty epidemic in a Christian nation is a hypocrisy when Jesus fed everybody. Come on now. Can't ascend with a bunch